And it's your responsibility to share your light with us. Most people think that...
Help us.
Yeah, most people think sharing their light is self-indulgent, self-grandizing. But really, sharing your light is your responsibility and your service.
Well, there's a way to share it.
Yes, but when you share it, you're actually liberating others. You don't share your light for you. You share your light for who's illuminated. Because you said yes to your light.
Wow.
My light coming out has nothing to do with me. I'm being obedient. I'm being in service. My light has to do with seeing how bright and beautiful you are, because you're sitting close enough where your light illuminates me and my light illuminates you. And that's why The Secret was so sweet and Chicken Soup was so sweet, because they just celebrated people's light. That's why I claim no matter what will be a bestseller, because it says, let me help you chip away the mud. You know, let me help you crack the mud. When I wrote this book, I didn't write the book from the light. I wrote the book from what I had to do to get to the light. And that's what people are wanting right now. How do I get to my light? How do I get to my purpose? How do I get to my passion? How do I get to my fearlessness? How do I get to my core determination? How do I get to my I know, like I know, like I know? How do I get there? Tell me the steps. Help me. And people are ready for that. And don't sugarcoat the answer. You know, don't, grandize it so much where I can't see the real everyday ABCs in it.
Yeah.
When I sat down to write No Matter What, I knew I had to tell parts of me that I had never shared before, and I wasn't necessarily comfortable sharing. And I have to tell you, sitting here with you right now, knowing that this book is in every bookstore, I'm still not comfortable totally with what I know people are going to know about me when they read the book. But I knew that in order to really talk about shining your light, I had to share what covered my light. I had to share that. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
That it's easy to sit and talk about, oh, the light feels so good, and it's so bright, and ooh, it's warm. That's easy. But what's necessary is what happens when I have a breakdown. What happens when the relationship doesn't go the way we thought it would go? What happens when I gain 60 pounds and I didn't plan to do that?
And still look beautiful.
Right. And yet, it's someone lost 60 pounds and I found it. And beauty and all, I'd love to return it to its rightful owner, honey. Believe you me.
It's beautiful, but it don't belong here.
Exactly. People used to say, oh, you carry your weight well. I say, great, why don't you carry it for a little while?
Well, what would happen to the, I recognize your weight, you recognize my weight, I can't carry yours, whatever happened?
Right, no, carry this, honey. And so it was, how do I, with this jacket that I wore for years called 60 pounds, because it was a jacket. It wasn't who I was, it was my jacket. But how with this jacket do I show my light? How do I still get back to my light? How do I not allow this weight to define me? There over 85% of people who are obese really are manically depressed. And yet we smile all the time. But how do I free myself from this thing? How do I free myself from the guilt of an old decision? How do I cut the shackles of anger at someone or something that happened to me 20 years ago? How do I be so in the now that I'm not making my next pay for my ex? How do I do that?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And who will have that raw, candid conversation with me? And not from a place of they're already there, but show me when you were in this place that I'm in now. Right. Show me how you got out. That's when I wrote No Matter What, I knew I had to. I could not get around telling that story. And I have to tell you, some chapters took a week to write, but they took 3 months to decide to give you that part of me. You know what I mean? To me, that's the juice of the
Can I read this right now?
Yeah, I know. Yes, you can, as a matter of fact. So I love the work that I've done, and I love the accolades, and I love the people who I've been introduced to because of the work. But I love the work and the opportunity that I get to invite the world to do to help rediscover or discover for the first time or more discover their light because of what I just did in this piece. Like, I recognize why I had to go through the journey, because I'm being used by what I call God, not to impose my belief system on anyone, but I call him God, to see now how God is using me to tell this story out loud so we can be comfortable with our journey and say, oh, I am enough. As a matter of fact, I'm perfect for my role right now in the world. And it's in my perfect imperfection that I get to help imperfect people. Like, imperfection serves imperfection.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And it's in the imperfection that I get to be of service. It's in the fall downs that I get to say, oh, let's all see how we get up. If I never fell down, how could I talk about getting up? And if I wasn't willing to tell you about my fall down,
right,
I don't have the right to talk about getting up. So I love it anyway.
I'm relating. I used to sing opera for years. And so I studied with an opera teacher who recognized my talent, but she couldn't teach me. And she was famous. She was at the Met and yada yada, but she couldn't teach me. And then I found a teacher who had an awful voice. But to get to where his voice is now, he had to work. Yeah. And so the teacher who was famous was born with a natural, beautiful voice. She didn't know how to get that. So she didn't help.
She didn't have to develop the muscle.
Exactly. Yes. So she could not serve me. Yes. But the other teacher, he knew how to break the mud. Yes. And so together we
got it. You got it.